Auckland FC have once again claimed bragging rights in the New Zealand derby, beating the Wellington Phoenix once again by 2-1 at Go Media Stadium in Mount Smart in Auckland last Saturday evening. An own goal from Phoenix defender Isaac Hughes, Nando Paianka with a goal for Auckland FC, and Costa Barbarouses scoring a consolation goal for the Wellington Phoenix with 8 minutes to go. But despite that, Auckland FC holding on to claim all 3 points. But however, their streak of not conceding a goal this season comes to an end. I'm Nick from Nick'n'detail, and today I'm going to be match reviewing the Wellington Phoenix Auckland FC game, which took place last Saturday evening in Auckland. So, let's get into it. That's right, as I said, Auckland FC remain unbeaten in the A-League men's competition after beating the Wellington Phoenix once again in the second edition of the New Zealand Derby, 2-1 in Auckland. It was once again very much, as I'll get to later on, a very much another tightly contested game, probably one that very much made that result very much justified. I think considering one of Wellington, I believe, very much probably didn't show the actual game itself, but this result very much summed up the game. And yes, Auckland FC once again coming away with 3 points to remain unbeaten at the top of the table, leaving the Wellington Phoenix with 2 defeats in the New Zealand Derby so far, and leaving them currently sitting just inside that top 6 in the A-League ladder at the moment. So, let's give my thoughts on the game. Like I said, it was another tightly contested match. I think, once again, we were able to see, the result very much, as I said, justified itself. It was a very tightly contested game. Auckland FC very much the deserving side to get the 3 points. They looked very good once again, but once again, I think we saw the Wellington Phoenix, obviously we saw them in that first game, the mistakes they made really cost them. This time, we saw them a bit more polished, a bit more refined, as we probably expected them to be anyway. So, very much the Phoenix looking like a good side as well, but Auckland FC very much in front of their home crowd, in front of a sold-out crowd, one more extra person than the crowd they had in Wellington, which breaks the all-time attendance record for an A-League football match in New Zealand, and that very much helped Auckland FC to claim yet another 3 points. Hiroki Sakai back in the Auckland FC squad after missing the Newcastle game last week through injury. I think his return was very much needed. He looked really good on in that right-back spot once again, very much sitting that cross that led to that pretty unfortunate own goal from Isaac Hughes there. Realistically, clearly left it, yes, because it was well and truly going way past the back post anyway, but I see why he tried it. Obviously, it seemed like a good idea to do at the time, but yeah, probably something he didn't need to do. But I think despite that, Auckland FC once again looking very dangerous on the wing going forward. I think compared to the Wellington game, I don't think they were as dangerous. I feel like the Phoenix were able to kind of keep them at bay for most of that game, which was pretty good, but I think at the same time, there were lots of moments there where I think Auckland FC were allowed way too much room on that wing, and their wingers, as they are, always very, very classy in that wing spot, and very much made the Phoenix pay for giving them so much space on both sides of the wing, and it happened in both halves as well. So I think something that massively, we'll get to that later on, but massively needs to be improved on for the Phoenix. But yes, as I said, Auckland FC conceding their first ever goal in the A-League. It was a lovely goal as well from Costa Barbarouses there, 1-1 with Alex Paulson, and indeed the Phoenix able to get back into that game later on and once again show that yes, Auckland FC's defence are vulnerable, and they showed that with that lovely goal from Costa Barbarouses. So that's my thoughts on the game. Let's get to my star player for Auckland FC, and I'm going to give a shout out this week to Captain Hiroki Sakai. As I said, I think even though the Jets game, Cullen Elliott came and I think did a good job as well. What were tricky conditions in Auckland for that game, the week just gone, I should say, obviously being that this is obviously filmed a few days after the Auckland-Wellington game, but Cullen I thought did a great job, but at the same time, you really can't match the credit and the quality Hiroki Sakai brings with his experience and just the way he plays. He's always such a dangerous player in that right back spot, and I think once again he showed that against the Phoenix. He showed it all season pretty much. I feel like against them in the first game of Wellington, he was probably a bit more quiet, didn't really show too much from him, but I think in this game very much showed the class he brings, and that cross he put in there for that own goal I think was a lovely ball. But even the free kick, he set up of course the second goal as well, the free kick to Nando Paianka at the back post, who headed that one in beautifully once again. Could Josh Oluwayemi, the Phoenix keeper, could have come out to that? Yes, he could have done, but much easier now said than done at the same time. But probably yes, the keeper probably could have come out and claimed that, probably could have prevented that goal from happening, but at the same time it's happened. It was a lovely set piece from Auckland FC anyway to set up that second goal. But anyway, Hiroki Sakai, my star player. He had a great game. Once again, really lightened up that right-hand side for Auckland FC. Very much exposed a lot of gaps in that Phoenix backline, which we saw happen quite a few times throughout that 90 minutes plus, and just an overall quality player. And it was great to see him back in the starting 11 for Auckland FC after missing last week's game, as I said, against Newcastle through injury. So he's my star player this week for Auckland FC. What needs to be improved on for the Phoenix? I think, honestly, as I said before, I think their backline once again needs to be tightened. I think you saw quite a few times, if you watched that game, Auckland FC very much made the Phoenix backline look a bit silly at times. Lots of gaps, particularly on the wing. I think the right-hand side, they were left very much exposed, and obviously it led to one of the goals as well. Of course, Sakai was able to very much come through, basically unmarked on the right-hand side to set up that cross. That, of course, went in the back of the net, as we know, from an own goal. But at the same time, I think Phoenix just, once again, just as they saw in Wellington as well, very much exposed on the wing side. Auckland FC just able to break that down really nicely. So massive credit to Auckland FC for once again showing their class on the wing. I think that's one thing that needs to be improved on for the Phoenix. I think discipline as well is another thing for the Phoenix. Once again, a lot of fouls from the Phoenix and conceded. I feel like, particularly if you get quite a few yellow cards for the Phoenix. I think it was about 4 or 5 yellow cards they ended up finishing the game with, so quite a high amount as well. I think, some challenges that didn't necessarily need to be made, just some on-field decisions that could have been better. But as I said earlier, it's always easier said when you're watching the game rather than you're in the game. It's such a big game, it's such a big moment. It's a tight game as well, but at the same time, I feel like that decision making for the Phoenix could have been better as well. I think obviously finishing was much better as well. I think yes, they could have improved in that. Yes, they probably could have got a draw out of the game, I believe. But at the same time, once again, Auckland FC's backline, Alex Paulson was superb again for Auckland FC, as he has been all season, but the Phoenix very much could have capitalised on a few chances. As I said, in Wellington, they could have done the exact same thing, but at least they were able to get a goal out of their pretty decent attacking, play. But very much, yes, the Phoenix definitely, once again, probably need to sharpen up on that finishing. So that's probably my improvements for the Phoenix. I think overall it was a much better showing from them than in the Wellington game. As I said a few times already, the result definitely did this game justice compared to that one in Wellington, where I think the result didn't quite show how the match played out. But I think the Phoenix looked like they looked better than they did in that first derby game. But at the same time, still plenty of work for them to do if they want to get near the levels Auckland FC are hitting at the moment. So what's next for both teams? For Auckland FC, they head away to Australia. Their first, official away game, being that their first game in Australia was part of the Unite round. So I guess you don't really classify that as a away game. So their first away game this Friday night. Well, actually, no, it's not this Friday night. It's this Sunday night, I should say, rather. So apologies, correct myself there. They take on Melbourne City, fresh off beating Brisbane Roar. Melbourne City currently sitting inside that top 6. They're currently just above the Phoenix at the moment. In fact, I think even 2 spots above them, currently sitting in 4th. Might even be 3rd, but yes, very much Melbourne City actually looking like a decent team this year. I think Aurelia Wittmar is building a really good squad there, and they will be a tough task in Melbourne on Sunday night for Auckland FC to beat. Of course, we'll leave that for the predictions. For the Phoenix, they're back at home in Wellington for the first time in a wee while. Their last home game, in fact, was, funny enough, that New Zealand derby game against Auckland FC. So basically about a month since their last home game, they'll host Macarthur. Macarthur fresh off their draw with Western United. And Macarthur is the team that have very much can cause big teams problems, but at the same time, they just, for me, haven't been hitting that consistency level. So I think for Wellington to get back home to Sky Stadium to take on a kind of inconsistent Macarthur side, I think they'll definitely be able to get at least a result out of it. But of course, like I said, we'll leave that for the predictions. So that's their next home game, Saturday night at Sky Stadium against Macarthur. So yes, that's going to do it for me. Obviously, once again, a great New Zealand derby. Big shout out to the Port again. Actually, big shout out to the Yellow Fever as well. In fact, there was probably more away supporters for this game than there was in the Wellington game. And of course, you can say, yes, Auckland has 1.6 million people or whatever. So more people living up there compared to the 500,000 living here in Wellington. So, but once again, you can still give the crowd a big shout out. Really awesome atmosphere. Great to see Mount Smart Stadium packed out for not a Warriors game for once. Great to see, football very much taking off in this country, particularly now with Auckland FC's arrival, just making it that extra bit exciting for us watching here in New Zealand, particularly in an Australian league as well, not having 1 but 2 Kiwi teams. So that's going to do it for me. That's going to be it. And until next time, I'll see you later.